Can you be honest with me? Would the Cowboys have taken Connor Cook out of Michigan State if he was available, the pick before you guys took Dak? Connor Cook went, I think, to the Raiders. From what I was told, you guys were higher on Connor Cook than Dak Prescott.
Well, I'll take you through that whole draft. Right at the top of the draft, we had the fourth pick, and we drafted Zeke Elliott, which to me was a fantastic pick. He, really changed our team in so many ways. But the quarterbacks went first, Jared Goff and Carson Wentz, and then, the next guy up was Paxton Lynch. So there's conversation at the bottom of the first round about Paxton Lynch. Should we trade up? Should we do this? Should we do that? I mean, a lot of conversations about that. And then, there were other guys. I'm trying to think who was maybe in the third round. Somebody went, and then it got to Connor Cook, and the Connor Cook discussion was more about he played in a drop back system at Michigan State. He was under center. We felt like Dak Prescott was one of the 5 guys in the draft that could be a starting quarterback for us in the league. But he was a guy, and I'll be honest with you, I thought it was going to take him time because he played in the gun.
Yeah.
There was a lot of quarterback run. And at the time, that's not what we were doing. And so he had all the stuff, but it was like, he's probably 2 or 3 years away. Well, sure enough, he wins 13 games as a rookie. So there goes that part of the evaluation. But we had no doubt about Dak in terms of we were all in on this guy can be our quarterback in the future. It just seemed like Connor Cook was more ready to be our backup right now and then possibly the quarterback in the future. And Oakland traded up to get him. We fell back. We took a defensive lineman from Oklahoma in the fourth before we took Dak in the fourth. So, all those different things, when you reflect back on them, certainly fell favorably for us. But he ended up being an amazing pick and a great player for us.
So I was correct that you guys liked Connor Cook more than you did Dak Prescott.
We did,
okay.
And we had healthy discussions about.
But you guys like Paxton Lynch. Didn't Jerry love Paxton Lynch?
Yeah, and one thing that I always laugh about is that people go back afterwards in the draft and say, there's like revisionist history. You guys would have taken him. You guys would have taken. You literally talk about 300 players all day long. Hey, what would happen if this guy fell back? Would you trade up for him? So if you went back and transcribed those conversations, history would be different, right? There was always the story that Bill Walsh liked Steve Dills better than Joe Montana. Well, he ended up drafting Joe Montana. So
I got Cody Kessler, Christian Hackenberg, Jacoby Brissett. Those are the other quarterbacks that were taken before Dak Prescott.
Yeah, and we felt great about Dak. I'll give you a good story about that. Wade Wilson was our quarterback coach for years. I don't know if you remember Wade, but he passed away a few years ago. But he was one of my teammates. He played 19 years in the NFL and then was our quarterback forever. And Wade never liked quarterbacks. Like he would go work guys out. And in for the draft, and I would say, hey, Wade, what'd you think of that guy? He can't play. He can't play. He can't play. This went on for years, Dan. It went on for years. And I'm like, he can't play. I'm like, at some point, we got to like one of these guys. We'll never draft anybody. And I'll never forget it. I think it was a Friday night. He called me early March, leading up to that 2016 draft. And he said, I think we got one.
Oh, wow.
I said, what? He's like, yeah, I'm down here in Starkville, Mississippi. I think we got our quarterback. And he just raved about Dak. He loved him. And then I don't know if you remember this, like 2 weeks later, Dak gets a DUI.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, he was the face of the program. Everybody loved him, the whole deal. He had all the stuff you wanted. And he gets a DUI. And I'm like, hey, here's our guy. What the heck? And over the next month or so, we had some real aggressive conversations with Dak about the whole process. And I'll tell you the quick story. We used to do this thing for about 3 hours with quarterbacks we're thinking about drafting. We get them in a room, a quarterback room, and it would be me, and the time it was Scott Linehan, who was our coordinator, and Wade and some other people. And I would stand up there and I would put 3 plays in from our offense. 3 pass plays, 5-man protection, a 6-man protection, a 7-man protection. I would talk really fast, use all our jargon, give them every rule that we had, talk about defense. This is what happened, dot, 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 dot. And then I would erase it and say, okay, you're up. And now you got to give it back to me.
Yeah.
And I would interrupt them on purpose and talk really fast and see if they could retain information, see if they could spit it back, see how much football they knew, all that. But we had a real question about this thing with Dak Prescott, about this DUI, because it just seemed so out of character for him. So we get him up on the board, and I'm talking really fast and put it all in, and I'm like, all right, you're up. It's an empty whiteboard. Give me the first play. And he starts talking and starts going through it. And about 10 seconds into, I'm like, hey, stop. Hey, give me the story about this DUI.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And so I'm like, hey, get me to the bottom of this. And so he tells me the story. It was fantastic. It was so accountable and specific detail. I had a couple margaritas after the workout. I was going 38 in the 30. I got pulled over, whatever. I mean, it was like, and it was clean and it was direct and it was accountable and I'm sorry for it and whatever. All right, keep going. And so he draws up the rest of the play and we're asking him questions. I'm like, stop. Hey, go back again. You're the face of the program at Mississippi State. This whole thing, I'm peppering him. And he kind of stops and gives me another explanation. Okay. Third time, he's drawing up another play. I stop one more time and he turns and it was a great answer. He said, I said, tell me what happened again on this deal. And he said, Coach, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I told you exactly what happened. I took accountability for it, whatever. And it was just a Dak Prescott answer. And I said to myself, I need to be quiet. So he finishes up the interview and he's phenomenal. I can't tell you how good he is. Mentally, he's just off the charts. So sure enough, he comes to the Cowboys, has an amazing start to his career, all of that. Wade Wilson tragically passes away about 4 years later. So we're at the repast after the funeral. And Dak comes up to me and says, Coach, I never told you this story. He said, you remember you did that meeting with me before the draft where you were talking really fast and you kept interrupting me and all of that? I said, yeah. He's like, Wade Wilson told me all the answers to the questions before I went in there. He said, he's going to ask you this, he's going to ask you this, he's going to ask you this. So he said, when I got a little frustrated when you kept peppering the questions, I wasn't mad about the question about the DUI. I was mad that I was forgetting all the stuff that Wade had already told me. So it was a setup.
Oh, that's great.